What is it costing you if you're not able to do that? And that's what you are going to pay. If it means enough to you, you don't have to do it, guys, but you don't need everybody to do it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that even I had to unlearn. All Jamie has to do is just put the offer out there. Not everybody needs to do it. If she gets 5 people a month to do her $5,000 package or her $3,000 package or her $9,000 package, whatever it is that can get them the result that she feels she needs to do in order to get them that result. How many people do you all need? 5? 8? 10? We're not talking 35 a day. We're talking 10 new people a month. 10 new people a month at $5,000 is what Jamie's kind of base package is.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I have a special guest on this morning. This is a lady that has actually become a dear friend of mine, a massive asset to our community, and I wanted to share her with you all today. Jamie Pribyl, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so why don't you tell the people a little bit about your story, who you are, and your whole entrepreneurship journey. How the heck did you get here?
I live in Reno, Nevada, and I am a manual-based, I'm like cash-based physical therapy clinic. So I don't know, I kind of have a long, weird story, but I worked in your typical outpatient physical therapy clinic, straight out of school. I specifically I learned about manual therapy right before I went to school. And so I really wanted to do that because what I was taught, what I kind of learned back then is like, you don't want to be replaceable, right? Like people can always do exercises at home, but you want people to want to come in and see you and do manual therapy. And plus I just saw people get better so much faster with hands-on manual therapy. So I really did enjoy that. Got out of school and of course, immediately tried to find someone that would be a mentor to me and would teach me, and found a place. They said they did manual therapy, said they wanted to be a mentor, and quickly, I'm working 50, 60 hours a week, seeing anywhere from 40 to 60 patients a day.
A day? Did you mean a week or a day?
A day. Yeah.
40 to 60. Okay. All right. I've never heard that before. Dang. I thought I saw a lot of patients. Okay. 40, 60 a day. The hell were y'all doing?
Like 40, and then like if the other PT was out, then I'd have to see his patients. And so there was a week that I saw 60 patients a day, and I would come home and just fall to the floor, and I was angry and I was bitter, and it was awful.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did that for...
Wait, I got to stop you here. Hold on. I can't just gloss over this 40 to 60 thing a day.
Yeah.
Jamie, was there any inkling or any thought while you were in PT school that this would be your reality?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Wow. This is an outpatient facility, and you guys are just jamming people in. I guess my question is, you went into PT to be a manual therapy provider. What skills were you able to really convey and execute on when you're seeing that amount of people?
None. I mean, I literally got 5 minutes. At my peak, I got 5 minutes with each one of my patients.
Wow.
And it's not, and I specifically chose that clinic because I knew there were other clinics in town that did that. And I specifically avoided them. Wow. But here in the end, we just got so busy. But I'm not going to lie, at the same time, it was like, I don't know, I just put in the work because I had these astronomical student loans. And I got paid well for the first year as a PT, which, even looking back now, is still nothing.
What did you get paid? You mind sharing?
90 grand.
90 grand.
Yeah.
So let's just you know what? If you don't mind, I'm just going to bring up my calculator here. I want to kind of just piece this together. So let's just say on an average day, what would you say on like for the year? Were there just like one or two crazy 40 to 60 days? Or what would you say is like the average day of what you would get paid? Yeah.
The average day was 30 to 40 patients probably.
30, 40. Oh, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Sorry, y'all. I'm doing this live on the podcast, but I want to figure this out. So let's just say 30. She said 30 to 40 was the average day. So let's go ahead and say 35. Okay. And let's say that's times 5 days a week, right? You work 5 days a week? Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's 175 patients visits a week. 175. Okay. Now let's do this. Let's assume Jamie got 50. She worked 50 weeks a year. She got 2 weeks off. Okay. Let's just assume that. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and say 50 weeks a year. That means that Jamie saw approximately 8,750 patient visits for a calendar year. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's take 90,000, which is what she got paid, divided by 8,750. 90,000 divided by 8,750. That means that she got paid an average $10 a patient. $10.28 a patient. Mm-hmm. I really want everyone as you're listening to just let that sink in. Now, you're like, whoa, but those are crazy numbers. Well, are they really that crazy? They're really not that crazy because she got paid $90,000 a year. She saw 35 patients a week on average. There were sometimes she saw 60, sometimes a little bit less than that. But on average, it was 35 a week. I want every single one of you to figure out what is your amount that you're getting per client. Because the one thing I know is this, every single client, the level of intention and the level of interaction that you have with the client is, and the way that you show up for that client will dictate if that client will look at you at a high level of value, if that client will want to continue to work with you. So if Jamie's only getting paid $10.20 something cents per client, and she said she can only show up for them about five minutes of actual individual time. Does that give Jamie or anyone that works in that environment a really good shot at those people wanting to work with her at a higher level? Probably not. And that's what creates frustration. Okay, sorry. I just had to wrap my brain around that because I actually think, Jamie, that is a normal situation for a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't know about now and I don't know about countrywide, but at least where I am there, I mean, it definitely was. And there are some clinics that it's still like that. I think there are more smaller clinics breaking off, providing better quality of care. But yeah, I think a lot of new grads get sucked into that because they think that this is the only way to make money and it leads to burnout. And I mean, I've seen some, I follow a lot of groups on Facebook and things like that. And I see some students that are just in clinical rotations that are like, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming are a lot like me in that entrepreneurship and you having your own clinic wasn't part of your plan, correct?
No, actually. Yeah. So what my plan was to own my own clinic.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It took me, I doing it completely different of how I thought I would. But no, the reason I went to University of St. Augustine and they are like, my plan was to go to school, become a PT, own my own clinic.
Right.
But back then I thought it was, the standard clinic.
Right.
It's totally different now.
Gotcha. Okay. So, so you ended up doing that and you did that for a couple years. And then when did you make that transition to having your own thing? And then after that, I want to talk about how you've set up your clinic today and how it works and whatnot today.
So I left that job after 2 years. I found another clinic that did provide mentorship and manual therapy. Started out as a great place. But then once again, kind of really started going towards, I get it, it's hard with like insurance. It just continuously, they increase, the payment from the from the client, and the PTs don't get paid anything. I mean, in the 14 years I've seen this, I've never seen insurance reimbursement go up. I've only seen it go down.
Yep.
And so they started packing them in. So then same thing, I started seeing on average in a 10-hour day, it was anywhere from 20 to 30 patients. And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. So left there, became the director of physical therapy at pain management clinic, so I could run things the way that I wanted to. But even in that situation, it was still, I had to see so many patients in order to get paid a decent amount, from insurance. And then I got sick. I was not feeling well. And I'd always thought about opening up my own clinic, but I started to realize that if I took insurance, I was going to be down the same racket as all these other clinics, because it force you to see that many people.
Okay, guys, this is a unique story to Jamie, but this is such a common story that we hear just through and through. Okay, and so I want to just kind of unpack everything that Jamie has said, and then we're going to talk about her clinic that she has now in a second. We'll talk about the good, the bad, and she's having some record months. But let's talk about all the stuff that comes with it. But here's the lesson that I think we can take from Jamie's story, and what led her to, yes, she eventually had her practice like what she predicted, but she's doing her practices in a totally different way than what she thought she was going to do it. In every single place that Jamie worked for, Jamie was part of a model, and the model was a low profit, high volume model. Okay, so the first place she worked for, it was low profit. Why is it low profit? It's because they weren't in charge of what they were charging to the customer. Okay, they had two customers. Actually, they had one main customer. Their one main customer was the insurance company. Okay, and the insurance company said, hey, this is what we are going to pay you. If you don't take us and you don't use us, we will not give you access to our members. This is how it works, guys. All right. And the amount that the insurance company is going to pay, you have to understand the insurance company is in a business as well. And their business model is a low profit, high volume model as well. So their thing is, we're going to get our members to pay us money every single month. And then our goal and how we stay in business is how much of that money can we hold on to? And that money that we hold on to, they're very much like a bank. The amount of money that they can hold on to, can we hold on to that money, and can we put that money in a vehicle that makes money for us? So insurance companies put their money into investments. And if I can hold that money and keep it there, then the investments can work and I can gain interest. Now, what they don't want to do is don't want to have to give the money to providers like Jamie, and like the place that she worked at, first place, the second place, even the third place. They don't want to have to give that money back. If they have to, they want to delay it as much as possible and give as little as possible to them. So it is a model that works for them. It is a great business model for them. It is not a great business model for us, because we have to take the pennies. And the only reason why we have to take the pennies is because we don't know how to get access to people like what Aetna, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana have built. They've built a great marketing strategy to get access to those people, and now we want their people. And this is the penalty. Okay, so what ends up happening is we start working in a low profit, high volume model, and that's what causes places like where Jamie worked to have to see 30 patients in a day or 35 patients a day, or even on some crazy days, 40 to 50 to 60 patients a day if a therapist calls out. And you can't say, hey, all the patients stay home, because if we made all the patients stay home, guess what? The place is a low profit, high volume model, meaning that if there's not high volume, and because it's such low profit, they will go out of business. So it wasn't like, hey, you know what? We can just let everybody stay home. We're high profit, high volume. No, it didn't work like that. They had no margin for error. So it burns people like Jamie out. So she goes to one place, it does the same thing. Goes to another place, it might start out good, it's the same thing. Okay, let me be a clinic director now. I'll be in control. You're not in control, because it's still the same business model. It's a low profit, high volume model. And you're not in control, because if you don't see this high level of volume, the place can't operate. In theory, nobody wants to do it. It's just the way that it is. So now Jamie's like, all right, screw this. I got to go do my own thing. Let me cut out some of that fat. Let me go ahead and not have to deal with the third-party payers, and I'm going to go and open up my own clinic. And so let's continue the story there. But I think everybody needs to understand this because people think it is their manager. They think it's their director. They think that these are evil people. No, they're not evil people. They're just in a business model that cannot work. Mm-hmm. It can't work. And it's a business model also, especially if you're a manual therapist, okay? It's a business model where you are working with other people and you're having to physically do work on them. So you're using a limited resource, which is your physical nature. It's your body. It's like it's like me working out. If I work out and I work out for 30 minutes, it's one thing. But if I keep on doing curls and I do curls for 6 hours, I'm not gonna be able to move my arms. I'm physical in nature, okay? And we're dealing with time, which is another limited resource. So guys, you have to understand, like, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter who you work for. It can't work long-term for you. Okay, all right. I just need to say that because this is like your story, but this is my story. This is everybody's story, and people don't get it. Okay, all right. Okay, go ahead and talk about your practice now and you opening up.
Okay, so yeah, I was totally burned out, got sick, and I was to the point of like, I was going to quit. I'm like, I'm not doing PT anymore. I'm going to go be a realtor like everyone else and make all this money. Right? Awesome. Like that was my plan. But then I thought, like, and I had tried, I kind of stumbled on you somewhere in between there, and I tried to do like this online thing, and that's when I got sick and I just couldn't do it. But, and listening to you so many times, it was like I kept being like, I don't know what to provide to people. And you're like, what do the people want? Well, my people want me. They want manual therapy, which kind of screws me because then it's one-on-one. And I'm like, how do I deal with that?
Yeah.
So because I could just give some basic exercises online and, I'm no better than any other PT to exercises, but my skills in manual. So I said, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try the cash-based physical therapy clinic. And if it works, great. If not, I'm doing something else. Yeah. So I started really, really small. I have a daylight basement in my house. And so I started out of my basement and doing mobile. And I think my original price was, I think when I first started out of my house, it was like $125 a session. And then double if I drove to their house. Right. So it was like $125, $150. Hi, Biker. This is my son.
Hey, buddy.
And so I started there, and I had assumed, I was like, okay, it's going to take me, so I actually got a part-time job at a home health clinic to try to pay the bills. Because there was no way that I was going to be able to work where I was part-time and do this. So I was like, okay, I'll just work home health, work a couple days a week, do this, build my clinic. It's going to take me at least 6 months, maybe a year to get to where I want to be and replace my income, which I ended up never even seeing my first client at home health because I made my goal in a month.
Wow.
Of 20 patients a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where'd you get the patients from?
So a lot of people followed me.
Yeah. Okay.
Just posting on social media like crazy. I did find, so a friend of mine had just started, we have one of those local magazines in town that you put, it's to each neighborhood, right? Okay. And so there's on the very front is it's a picture of your neighbor, and they do a story, and it's kind of their paper version of social media. And then they geo-target for Instagram and Facebook and Google for you. And so I basically chose someone close to me. It's a neighborhood close to me that's a very, very high-end part of Reno. And that's where I chose to advertise. I signed a 3-year contract. Kind of wish I hadn't, but it was just, that was the only marketing I really did. But I only needed 20 patients a week.
Okay, let's stop. Let's stop right there. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh my God, this is so good. Okay, so you needed 20 patients a week to basically replace your income that you were getting from the last place that you worked.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. I want you all to understand this is now a high profit, low volume model. Does everybody understand what I just, please go back and rewind the podcast. And I want you to listen to the last 2.5 minutes of what we just talked about. Jamie, for the first few years of her career, was working in a low profit, high volume model. That low profit, high volume model, I don't know if Jamie's going to get into it, but she briefly talked about, what it did to her physically. It made her physically ill. That low profit, high volume model is actually what connected me with Jamie. Probably, maybe even she's listening to my stuff. It's probably what connected her to me, was because I was in a low profit, high volume model as well, and I got very sick, and I started having autoimmune issues, and it put even more stress on my family, and my wife started having autoimmune issues and all types of stuff and whatnot. It's a low profit, high volume model. It is killing you people. She then leaves and says, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. After 3 jobs, she figured it out. All right, this ain't working. And by the way, did you hear her rates? Her rates were in the low hundreds. But even still, it was allowing her to go from seeing anywhere between 20 to 35 on average patients a day to 20 to 25 patients on average a week. In a high profit, and I wouldn't even say that's high profit, but at least at that time, in relation to what she was doing.
I was working out of my house and I was going mobile. So yeah, I mean, that's how I opened.
Yeah.
Very different than now.
Yeah. But I think people, and you were able to basically replace that in the first month.
Yeah.
So I think, and guys, did she work any harder? I mean, I don't know. Did you work any harder than what you're doing before? What would you say?
Different.
It was different, yeah.
Different. I mean, you're working, when you go out on your own, you're working all the time. All the time. And even right now, I do feel bad sometimes because I did this for my family. And my kids will say sometimes, like, Mom, you're always working, because I'm working in the clinic. And I'm a different case. It totally depends on each person, but I am a mom, and I am in the situation where a lot of times I have to take care of the kids, take them to school, pick them up. My husband has no flexibility in his job. So it's everything is on me. Right. So it's like I'm doing everything that I can. I'm seeing as many people in the clinic as I can. Then I go get my kids, and then I'm trying to do documentation later. And I'm texting people and I'm calling people while I'm at soccer practice. And so it's a different kind of work. I've always been a really hard worker as it is. So I wouldn't say it's harder. It's just a different.
It's just different work. Yeah. Guys, I mean, this is real. This is real. This is how it truly is. It's definitely not harder work for fulfilling, but when you're running a business, there are other components that you have to do that other people, when you work for somebody else, are doing for you. So when you work for an outpatient orthopedic place that's based on insurance, that place is not really focused that much on marketing. You want to know why? Because their marketing is, they're getting their clients through the insurance providers. Okay, they're getting their clients through the insurance companies. And so that's where they're getting their people from. Okay, so as a physical therapist, as an occupational therapist, as a speech therapist, you're not focused on that part. But when you go out on your own, you have to go find your clients. You have to go, schedule your people, especially if you're starting in the beginning. You have to do those things. But fulfillment-wise, you don't have to spend all your time. You could spend probably anywhere between a 10 to 25% of the time fulfilling, as in treating, as what you would do at a place that you worked for, because you are now in a higher profit, lower volume model. And so in the beginning, it's just the work is different. It's not that it's more, it's just different. But the upside to it is so much more. And so why don't you talk about like where your practice is at now and what you're doing and how you're seeing patients, and you can talk about your numbers, you can talk about whatever you want. Yeah.
So once I got busy enough, I moved into a business suite. It's not a huge clinic. It was literally just one suite in a shared business place. But I moved in there March of last year. And so January of this year, January, February, I just rented out two more suites. So now I charge 250 per visit if I'm doing per visit. But I've added on, it's not your typical physical therapy clinic at all. Like I actually kind of have a hard time calling it a physical therapy clinic because people think, oh, it's what you do is physical therapy, but it's so different. So, it's kind of like a wellness clinic now is what it's building into. And I treat people holistically. When I got very sick, there were no answers for me. I probably spent $40,000 on trying to find people and going traditional westernized medicine route, and nothing really helped me except for the functional medicine route. And I found some supplements that were like a game changer for me. And so I partnered with that company and I said, everybody needs this. And so so if people decide to work with me, we do a package of let's work together for X amount of time. Like on average, it's 12 weeks. And I just throw everything at them that I can to get them better. So that comes with supplements that helps open up their drainage pathways. So instead of like taking an anti-inflammatory, we're actually utilizing the inflammation to promote healing because I also use stem wave, so a form of shockwave therapy. I purchased that in January, and that's been a game changer for my clinic. Having the stem wave, because it's another way of facilitating healing. It's getting people better so much faster, and that's where I can make a really high ticket offer to people, because it's like, okay, so we're going to give you supplements, we're going to give you nutritional advice. You have an online exercise library. You will see me as much as you need to. You get the stem wave package, which is decreasing arthritis and getting rid of tendonitis very, very quickly and any soft tissue injury. It's promoting the healing response naturally. And so with that, like people, they know that within 3 months they're going to be better, instead of, okay, let me just continue to go to physical therapy 3 times a week, doing the same exercises and paying $50 every single time they go in for their copay.
And what are you charging people on average for that result?
So for that result, if they decide to buy my all-in package for like one treatment area, that's $5,000.
$5,000. Okay.
Yeah.
And have people bought that?
Oh yeah, lots.
Yeah. Okay. It comes a long way from those 45 patient days, huh? It's funny, from $10 to $5,000. Okay, so that's interesting. So what have you learned, since you have done this for yourself personally, and then now for others, that you maybe didn't believe before? You're now using stem wave, you're using supplements, you are adding yourself, you're using online education, and you're packaging that in a way to get people a result, which is to help them with decreasing the inflammation in their body, amongst other things. So what have you learned from when you started to now about what it is that people buy and how people buy?
Hold on. What? Just let me just finish this call. Okay. Sorry, my other son just woke up. So yeah, from talking to you and taking your program and just seeing these people, they want a result. People do buy results. They don't, and so much of it is like confidence too, like in how it's presented. Like, I have an answer for you. Do you want to get better? I had a gal that came in. I have two that came in. There's a clinic in town that the orthopedic surgeons own, and so it's the biggest mill in town, because all the really good orthopedic surgeons are there in one clinic, and they're like, hey, okay, go to the physical therapy clinic. So one, she had severe knee pain. They gave her a cortisone injection, and she wants to go hiking with the gorillas in Africa in July, and they couldn't get her in for a month. And so she's like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? And they're like, well, you need to strengthen your knee. She's like, well, I don't know what to do. So she ended up with me, and she bought the $5,000 package. I had another client who just came in. She had a total knee replacement, and they scheduled her for physical therapy, one visit. And then when she went in, because they didn't schedule her out, they were so booked up. She had a total knee replacement, and they couldn't get her in for another 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, yeah. So she ended up on my table, completely distraught, because she's like, I need to get this knee moving. She bought from me a $9,000 package because I need to see her 3 times a week right now to get that knee bending.
Right.
Because she needed the results, and she wants to get better, and she cares about her body. And so, but then I have other people that tell me, well, you're way too expensive. But then 10 seconds later, they say that, oh, I just spent $15,000 on a facelift. So it's what people value is what they're going to spend their money on. And so you don't need to find, when you're a high ticket offer, you don't need to find 25 people a day. You just need to find the 10 that value what you do.
Okay, I think this is a huge thing for everybody to understand. Okay, number one is it is about all Jamie has done is she hasn't gotten better as a therapist. She has just gotten better at conveying her message. Okay, I think that's number one. Number two, it's about unlearning a few different things. And one of the big things that you have to unlearn is you have to unlearn that you need to be able to cater to everyone. You don't need to be able to cater to everyone. You don't have to. Jamie just gave you an example of someone that wants to go and hang around with the gorillas in Africa, okay? You need to be able to convey a message on this is the result that you want. What is it costing you if you're not able to do that? And that's what you are going to pay. If it means enough to you. You don't have to do it, guys, but you don't need everybody to do it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that even I had to unlearn. All Jamie has to do is just put the offer out there. Not everybody needs to do it. If she gets 5 people a month to do her $5,000 package or her $3,000 package or her $9,000 package, whatever it is that can get them the result that she feels she needs to do in order to get them that result, how many people do you all need? 5? 8? 10? We're not talking 35 a day. We're talking 10 new people a month. 10 new people a month at $5,000 is what Jamie's kind of base package is. It's $50,000 a month. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to talk to 10 people. That means that you might talk to 50, knowing that not everybody thinks that way. Not everybody values the thing that you are presenting to them. But what you can do is you can get better at presenting what it is that you do offer to people and what it yields to them in the form of a result that they're looking for. You can get better at that. And if you get better at that, people will buy it. They'll buy it. But you can't talk to 10 people to get 10 new clients. You might have to talk to 40. You might have to talk to 50. You might have to talk to 60. But what I am telling you is that we live in a world today in healthcare to where people are sick and tired and fed up with the absolute mediocrity that is out there in traditional healthcare. And there is a group of people that are like, if you can solve my problem, I will pay for it because I value this more than I value the facelift. I value this more than I value getting a new car. I value this more than I value even taking a vacation. Because if I'm so sick that I'm going to be miserable on a vacation, I'd rather just not go on a vacation. And you got to find those people, you guys. Oh, man, this was so powerful. This is great because this just shows, Jamie, that if you just focus on the right things, like your life can change and it can change dramatically. But you have to be in a model where if you do focus on those things, like your life can actually change. And hard work does not guarantee you success, but hard work in the right model can yield you success eventually. And you are living proof of that. So anyways, any other things you want to say before we finish up?
I just think there's so many people. So I hesitated for years to do the cash-based physical therapy model because everyone told me that can't be done. Why would anybody see you? You know, we have insurance. You won't get enough people. And I knew it was being done. It was funny. I actually had the idea before I even knew that it was a thing. And then I found out it was a thing and it was growing nationwide. And I was just too scared. And there was just so many people telling me like, no one's going to pay for that. No one's going to pay for that. But it's, and then I've talked to some people that are like, no, not in my town. No, not in this town, you know? And I used to think the same thing in Reno. And now, you know, I've opened up and there's multiple cash-based physical therapy clinics now. And it's just, you know, we talk about mindset and being surrounded around the right people and, just don't, you know, sometimes you just kind of have to ignore what the average people talk about. And, there are things you can always change your situation. Yeah. So you just have to have the right mindset and believe in yourself and go for it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for believing in yourself. Thank you for not settling for mediocrity. Thank you for taking matters into your own hands. And by the way, I'm going to be seeing you at the event. And here, I'm going to put you on a spot. I'm going to put you on a panel. I'm going to put you on a panel on Friday. I'm going to put some of the platinum members on the panel. I think it'd be good for people in the audience that are new to this stuff to be able to ask you guys questions. So anyways, if you guys are coming, if any of you that are listening come to the event, you will meet Jamie there. And Jamie, if you're cool, we'll put you on a panel on Friday. I think that'd be great for people to be able to pick your brain a little bit. Is that cool?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right.